Good morning, friends. Day number 6 of the reading rush. Today is going to be a pretty straightforward day. I'm staying home and I'm reading, and that's pretty much it. I really also need to clean my house. As with the reading rush every year and most readathons, I just slowly, my house descends into chaos. I don't pick up after myself or anyone else as much as we all should. I let things go, and now it's become a little unlivable. So I'm gonna spend the first portion of my day, it's actually already the afternoon, but as far as my vlogging day goes, we're gonna start with cleaning and listening to the audiobook of Bad Feminist. I am so in love with this, I can't even explain it. I'm so glad I picked it up. It is talking about so many interesting things. She's really critiquing a lot of other like literature, media in general, name dropping, saying like this show, this book, this speech on a surface level was supposed to be like positive towards feminism and encouraging, but when you actually think about what this piece of media accomplished, it was actually damaging to a lot of other people. She's critiquing the show Girls. She's talking about the book series Sweet Valley High, Bad Girls Club, Sister Wives, The Real Housewives. Like, she's going in. I'm really liking it, but it's very evidently published, written in like 2013, 2014. You know, it's talking about upcoming elections that have now already happened. And obviously, most books that have a commentary on like society are going to be timely in general. But this specifically, I feel like, is going to be really out of date very soon. The topics are obviously still relevant, so I wouldn't say like this book isn't gonna hold up, but its relevancy is dropping. I feel like I'm gonna give it 5 stars, and I'm only in the first third. I'm hoping to listen to the second third via audiobook today, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. Right now we're talking a lot about fatness, and I know that Roxane Gay has written a lot of things. I've read some of her collections. I know she has some that like go more into depth about the topics she's covering in here, but talking about fatness, talking about fat camps, talking about representation, and the general conversation about feminism, and how when one of our like feminist icons in the media does something wrong, a lot of people who are already on the fence about feminism will take that as a negative thing that happened to the feminism movement, rather than acknowledging that that person is flawed, and that everybody, and Roxane Gay herself, is a bad feminist at times, and how she rejected being referred to as a feminist for so long because 1, the phrase was misconstrued and continues to be misunderstood, and 2, she didn't know that she could claim that title unless she fit all of these qualifications. So I'm gonna clean, I'm gonna listen, and then my goal for later in the day is to read The Seep. And if you missed previous vlogs, these are for the challenges: a book you first touched, and a book with the in the title. Also, while we're here, before the montage begins of cleaning, is that something you want to see? We're gonna check the reading rush challenge, Instagram challenge of the day, which is take a photo of your reading fuel. I think today I'll just be drinking the coffee I have in my fridge, but I'm happy to throw that in a picture. I'm not sure if I'll do it with these books, or maybe what Mama left me, because I would love to throw that in my feed. So we'll throw that into the cleaning montage too. Wow, just accomplishing so much. I had to give up on cleaning. My AC went out again. It has climbed from 22 to 26 in literally 5 minutes. Although I should know better than to talk about temperature, because the last time I did in my vlogs, every comment was like, "You think that's hot?" I'm not saying that I think my house temperature of 26 is hotter than you know, living on the equator. I'm just comparing temperatures to what normal temperatures are. Today it's 32 out. That might be hot for you, it might not, I don't know. For me it's normal, or even a little cool for July. The word hot still definitely applies. Basically my AC gets like overworked and then the landlords have to reset it. So hopefully that'll happen soon before I sweat off all my makeup, which I put on for no reason because I was gonna film some videos today and then I was like, what are you thinking? There's something about the reading rush that just like has me in tunnel vision. I cannot think about any other content. Can't plan any content, can't pre-film any content. I can't do anything but the reading rush. I just posted my picture and I changed the colors in it to match my book. These are things you wouldn't normally know, but you saw me take the picture, so I have to tell you. Back there is that bag of candy we bought yesterday and I have no idea what to do with it because that's not normally how I let my child eat. But I have been eating the sour cherries and now my tongue hurts. Oh, and in my picture, I said that I've read 4 5-star books so far, which is technically a lie, but I'm predicting this to be 5 stars, and like, there's no way it's not. This is truly one of the most perfect things I've ever read, ever. And I'm already 2/3 of the way through, and I was supposed to wait until tomorrow to do the last third, but I just can't stop reading it and highlighting. My favorite portion is still the one about likability. Then she did this whole section on the Hunger Games and did some commentary on like what Katniss represents to people, what Katniss meant to her. This is so much of her own personal perspective, which for some reason I just wasn't expecting. I think because the last book I read about feminism wasn't that. It was equally amazing, but it was so different. And I think sometimes when I read nonfiction that is like important, is supposed to teach you something, I feel like once I've read on a topic, I've kind of grasped like the idea. It's not that I don't feel the need to seek out other books, but maybe I don't prioritize them because I'm like, is this gonna do anything that hood feminism didn't a couple weeks ago? And the answer is yes. It's completely different in every way, even though the core idea is the same. I also loved this section on trigger warnings, and I want everyone to read it. It says trigger warnings aren't meant for those of us who don't believe in them, because she talks about how like she doesn't believe in trigger warnings, how some people don't believe in trigger warnings, but it doesn't matter because it's not for those of us who don't believe in them. Just like the Bible wasn't written for atheists. Trigger warnings are designed for the people who need and believe in that safety. I just know there's this constant talk about trigger warnings in our book community, and if someone needs trigger warnings, they should have the ability to access trigger warnings, period. There was a section on rape culture and even like the phrase rape culture, how we glorify violent men, how we'll give any excuse for men, but women absolutely do not get the same opportunity. And even like the beginning of this book, I remember was talking about when she's criticizing all of these other texts, they tout feminism as like, look how far we've come, look how equal we are. But she brings up the fact that like, even though technically now like the field is 50-50, there are so many more whatever women scientists, the pay is still not there. So like you can't act like everything has been fixed. And if you think everything has been fixed, you are probably coming at it with a very white gaze. Anyway, I know I should get onto the seep, but I'm very passionate about this book. Oh God, I almost just broke my tripod. Okay, hi. Does anyone else feel like sad that we can't like look cute for work? Like I bought all these clothes before quarantine and I haven't been able to wear them to the office. This is not the angle. Neither is that though. I'm gonna take a thumbnail here. I just want to like go out for dinner or something. Go on a date. I miss doing fun things. It's a Saturday. I feel like I should be doing fun things someday. But for now, we get to sit at home and read about space creatures, which is arguably equally as fun. Alright, I just read one of my favorite opening chapters of a book ever. So I'm gonna need to do some live reading updates while this happens. Also, Rob was just out and picked up my order from the bookstore, The Only Good Indians. So I'm so excited to have this in my hands, and I'm resisting reading it right now. $35. Books these days. I'm looking very yellow because it's now like 7 p.m. and all my lamps are on. So let's read. Okay, so the book opens at a dinner party with a whole bunch of women, and it's like omniscient, so we see what every character is thinking and everything, but then it takes like a really foreboding narrative style where the narrator is like giving clues of what is to come, and I'm very intrigued. So the Seep is wonderful and weird and not the kind of book to read in one day. It has a lot to say and I don't want to miss anything. So I don't think I'm going to finish this tonight, but I'm going to stop at the halfway point, which is around 100 pages. The Seep is such an interesting concept. It's like alien shit, but it's so hard to explain. Read the book. I don't know. Like, it affects you like a drug. Like, it is a drug. People can change their appearance. It's very strange. We're following a trans woman, and this guy just like makes a parallel at the beginning of the book about like changing your appearance and how she is condemning him for a choice that he made. That the Seep allowed him to do, and he is making a parallel of like, well, you altered your body too before the Seep. She's like, bitch, what? She's got a partner, and her partner has decided to go back to living as a baby and starting over, which is something the Seep will allow her to do. Oh boy, it's strange. I don't think I answered any questions yesterday, so I'm gonna hop back into my questions and see if there's anything I can answer. The first question says not book related, which is fine because most of the questions I've been answering aren't book related. Tomorrow, on the last day of the reading rush, I will make sure all 3 questions I answer are book related. Who are your favorite musicians is the question. My all-time favorite musician band is Bon Iver. In the second spot is Pink Floyd, and then after that it's whoever. It's a lot of people. Modest Mouse, Alan Raymond, Dermot Kennedy, Death from Above 1979, Kings of Leon, Def Leppard. At least right now. I go through phases. I mean, I want to listen to classic rock, I want to listen to rap, I want to listen to indie, I want to, like, right now in the quarantine, all I want to listen to is chill music. So I made a playlist that I just recently added a couple more songs to, so you can check it out. Actually, speaking about music, I feel very validated yesterday that my favorite song was Peace off the new Taylor Swift album, and I spent so much of my morning trying to figure out what song that pulse came from at the beginning of it, because it's so Bon Iver, and I was obsessed. I was like, I know I've heard this before, I have to find it, and I didn't actually find it. I was like, is it Michigan? Is it Lump Sum? The point is, the credits or whatever came out for the album, and Justin Vernon is credited on the song Peace for his pulse. So I knew it. I realized what it reminds me of. It reminds me of multiple other songs, not from his music, but from other songs he's been featured on. So like, it kind of sounds like the song he did with Francis and the Lights. It kind of sounds like the James Blake song he was on, I Need a Forest Fire, which is currently my absolute favorite thing to listen to. I'm gonna have to add it to that playlist. But anyway, I was just happy to discover that. Next question. Okay, here's a bookish one. If you were on an official YT Booktube video, who would you want the author to be? It's funny that you ask, because I was asked to be on the Booktube show, and I declined because that's scary. I have no interest in interviewing authors. I definitely don't think that I'm the one to do that, but I think I would choose somebody who like I've had a conversation with maybe in the past, somebody who like knows who I am and I know who they are, rather than interviewing some like huge popular prolific author. So like I feel like I would interview like Katrina Leno or Rory Power or maybe S.K. Ali or maybe A.S. King. I would literally never do it, but that's who maybe I could have a conversation with. Okay, and then somebody asked, have you ever thought of moving to a different town? If so, where? I think that it's like a fun idea to think of living somewhere else. Like I've always said, oh, I want to go live in Australia for a year. I want to go live in New Zealand. But like long term, I can't imagine living anywhere but small town BC. Like I can't picture it. I can't picture not being surrounded by the nature and the lakes and the possibility of the ocean that I'm currently like have always had available to me. We've definitely considered living other places should the opportunity present itself. I think I would choose like most likely Squamish. I love Squamish. I love Nakusp. I think those are the two places I would lean towards. If I had to live somewhere else in BC, that's where I would go to. Like a similar size town to where I live, surrounded by mountains and water and the perfect temperature. Okay, I'm gonna read a little bit more and then I'll do one final update at the end of the day. Hopefully. Hopefully you see me later and not in the morning. Here we are. We did it. We made it. I found my Reading Rush bookmark and I am exactly, I just hit myself in the face. I'm exactly halfway through the seat and I love it so much I want to scream. There are so many themes that we can talk about, but I feel like if I discuss this anymore with you, I will have no content tomorrow because all I'm doing tomorrow is completing the 3 books. 2 I've already started, 1 is like 20 pages, and we're planning on floating down the river for most of the day, so I won't have any footage. Just know this is great. I think the conversations it's having are very interesting. I can't talk, it's very late. And moving on to the 3 things I want you to care about is very relevant to this book because we're following a trans main character and I want you to care about trans rights. That's it. One thing to care about, but I will give you 3 things to focus on, I suppose. So these are things that have been ongoing for years and like discussions and hopefully upcoming changes within the governments of the given countries. But like if you're not already aware of LGBTQIA+ issues or trans rights violations, that's who I'm attempting to inform today. And by inform, I really just mean providing links down below because all I'm doing is making you aware of the fact that in the US right now, trans rights are being violated. The goal is to reinstate the law that protects trans people and gives them equal rights to medical care. Due to a repealed law, trans people in the US can currently be denied medical attention solely due to the fact that they're trans. Again, like I mentioned every single video, the majority of my audience is based in the States, so that feels like it makes the most sense to focus on. Also right now in the UK, there's a big push to end conversion therapy, which is sickening that in this day and age it's still even a conversation. I'm pretty sure it's been like 7 years in the making, and apparently the people in charge are like having those conversations. There have been petitions. I think you can still sign them, so I will link them. They've been acknowledged, but obviously nothing has happened yet, so there still needs to be attention put on it, and we can't let it go. We can't stop talking about it until things happen. My battery is flashing at me, so I will just quickly mention the sterilization law that affects trans people in Finland is something that I see a lot of people talking about right now. When you really look into things, even countries that seem to protect certain people or protect in certain ways, there's a lot of behind the scenes damage that's still happening, or clauses within things that are damaging. So definitely look into Finland, the UK conversion therapy, the United States trans rights in general. I think I'm going to find a card that will have a lot of things listed, as well as petitions to ask for justice for the trans crimes that have been committed recently. And that's it. I will see you tomorrow for the last day of the reading rush. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you later. Bye.